Hi, I'm the author of the book Building Reactive Websites with RxJS, a book about observables, the RxJS library, and how to integrate them into your front-end web development workflow. At this point, you probably have two questions. The first is, what are observables? And the second being, why should I care? The first is easier to answer. An observable is just an abstraction that represents events that happen over time, sometime in the future. And RxJS is a library built around that abstraction with a whole bunch of tools in its toolbox to help you get your work done. The second one is a little harder to answer, but it's probably the more important one. Why should you care about observables? What is so special about observables and RxJS that it deserves attention as opposed to the million other things that are posted on GitHub every single day? Well, to answer that, I'd like to build a stopwatch. On the left, we have a page for the stopwatch. It doesn't work right now, but let's fix that. On the right, we have the file hooked up to this page. Now we need to think about how we would use observables to build the stopwatch. An observable, like I said, is a representation of events over time. So what events over time do we have in our stopwatch? There's really two different types. The first is clicks. At some point, the user is going to click the start button and the stop button. So we need to pay attention to that. The second one is a little more behind the scenes, in that once the user clicks the start button, we need a series of events over time, or an interval, to update the page every however long we want. In this case, 1/10 of a second. We now have three observables to use when interacting with the page. The first category of observable are the event types. This is the start and stop clicks. We use the fromEvent function from the RxJS library, which takes an element and an event type and returns an observable that emits a new event whenever that event happens on the page. So start clicks will emit whenever the start button is clicked. The second one, 10 seconds, is just an interval. It emits a new value every 100 milliseconds. Now the important thing to remember at this point is that observables are lazy, just like me. And what that means is they won't emit any values. They won't start listening in or setting off the interval until they know someone is listening in. So we need to listen in to what's going on the page. And now everything's coming together. You listen in to an observable stream by calling subscribe and passing in a function. This function is called every time a new event happens on the stream. So this function will be called anytime someone clicks on the start button. Inside the subscribe, we take our 10 seconds and pipe it. We want two things to happen. The first is it's going to tell us the number of 1/10ths of a second that have happened since the start button was clicked. But that's a little confusing, and we just want to display the number of seconds to the user. So we take the number we're given and divide it by 10 with map. Map works just the same way it does with arrays. Every item is divided by 10 and passed on. The second is take until. We want to continue listening in to this 10 seconds interval until someone clicks the stop button. Finally, we have another subscribe. This one's listening into the 10th second, and every time a new event is emitted, it updates the page with the number of seconds that have happened since the start button clicked. Let's watch this in action. Click start, and there it goes. Click stop, and now we have it. Now this is just a simple example, but the techniques learned here can be applied to such things as drag and drop, loading bars, or even an entire chat system. Don't believe me? You'll build those and many more projects in the book. Thanks for watching.